Hi, welcome to the video. So today I'm going to talk about major triads, and these are the basic building blocks for any of your more complex chords, or not chords, arpeggios. Arpeggios and chords are the same notes. Arpeggios are just the notes being played one at a time versus chords being strummed together. So basically I'm going to start off with the very simple single octave ones, but then I'm going to show you how you can combine those together to make more complex shapes. And all this, the complex and simple shapes will all be tabbed out on here. And you can always download any of my tab sheets from any of my videos on my Patreon page, and the link will always be in the description. You don't have to be a member. I always put open to public, so it's free to anyone to download. So, check that out, download the tab. It makes it easier. You don't have to keep returning back to the video, even though that would give me more views. So anyways, let's jump into this. So I'm going to use C major, in the key of C major, just so you can see the different variations, all with the same arpeggio. So basically, C major is a 1-3-5 of a major scale, meaning the first, third, and fifth note. For more details on intervals, I'll put a link to a video on that too. The notes are C, E, and G. So basically, you've got three primary shapes. If you start on the root, on the C note, I can reach backward or back for the E and G notes, the 3 and 5, which would give me a fingering like this. I could also reach forward for those same two notes, C, E, G. So basically I'm pointing the notes in front or behind the root. Now I could also put the root in the middle of the notes and reach back for the E and forward for the G. So that's your three primary possibilities. The only other option, unless you're using open notes or something, would be put all in one string. Now, I'm not going to, other than mentioning it right now, really talk about that in this video, because usually I'd only do that if I'm either wanting to shift positions or if I'm doing tapping or something like that. But I'm not going to necessarily combine that type of fingering with other fingerings very much. So let's just go and get into these then. So after those first primary three shapes, I need to deal with how they're changed by the B string. So I'm still going to think of them as the same shapes of moving back, middle, or forward, but now the B string is going to throw anything that crosses over that forward one fret. So if I start with the C on the fourth string instead, if I picture that backward shape, I just have to think of, okay, that last note gets pushed forward, which would then give this shape. Now, later on, we'll talk about adding the octave and again, making larger shapes. But for right now, you just have this basic shape. Now, if I put the root, the C note on the third string, then I would still have this same shape, but both these notes are moved forward, so which gives this type of shape. And of course, if you want to reach up for the octave, that'd be fine. And so that's the backward shape for C on the third string. Now, if I do the middle shape, again, both notes are moved forward. Now, it's not really in the middle anymore, but I'm still going to think of it as that because it's just the B string that's changing it. So I'm not going to think of it as a different shape necessarily. And then on the forward shape, normally it'd be here, but again, that would sound right because of the B string. So that's the forward shape. So now let's go and add in octaves. But before we do that, let me say don't underestimate the value of the single octave shapes. I actually use them probably as much or more than the multi-octave shapes. You can take a single octave shape and then combine it with another, in this case, single octave minor, to create bigger shapes such as major sevens or other types of arpeggios. But you can also run it into your scale runs all the time. So I'm just going to improvise a little bit. I'm going to try and stick to just single octave, major, and minor arpeggios. And I also did a video a little over a year ago similar to this on minor arpeggios. So I'll put a link to that in the description too if you're not want to check that out. So here I'll just improvise a little bit. So this is the only part that won't be tabbed out. So there's a minor one, there's a major one, there's a minor, there's a major, there's another major, there's a minor, there's a major, there's another major. So anyways, you can do a lot of things just mixing your scales and your different major and minor arpeggios, and then mix in extended arpeggios like 7, 9, 11, 13, or altered ones and such. But let's go ahead and add in octaves now, and that's the first step to making a bigger shape. So basically, on any of these shapes, the octave will fall directly below the G note or the 5. So if we go 1, 3, 5, or C, E, G, directly below it will be my C note again. So it doesn't matter which shape I do, that will be true of. Of course, if that C note falls on a B string, it would be pushed forward, but any other time it will be directly below it. Now if I even use the B string ones, it'll still be directly below there. If I go here, well obviously I can't do directly below, so in that case I'm going to reach forward for it. And that gets into the second type of placement for the octave, which is, in addition to being directly below, it will always be 5. You can choose 5 frets higher. So if I go C, E, G, I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or think, well, this is 5th fret, plus 5, 10th fret. There's my C, G, C. So now if I continue with the other ones off the B string, again, directly below it, or I can start doing the ones where I count up. So there would be the 5 frets higher, and the same thing here. Now I might not use this one as much, because to me it's kind of awkward to then jump forward 5 frets, but when you might come into that, it's good to kind of try these, because maybe I am playing a scale here, and I want to then jump to a higher position for whatever reason. But if I know that I'm going to go with this note, then I'd more likely use the forward rather than the middle position, which already gets me moving forward to that octave. Okay, now let's start combining them into bigger octave shapes. So if I take this basic forward position, you could use any of the 3 primary ones. If I'm going to stick to just this one position on this one set of strings, that way it limits my possibilities. Otherwise you get so many possibilities. But try out all possibilities that you can, even if you end up not using every fingering, just to experiment with it and see what's available. So now if I do from here the backward fingering, you get the one that's kind of looks like this chord. It's pretty common arpeggio. Now if I can move to middle fingering in the 2nd octave, end up with that. Now if I move to the forward fingering, now I could either reach forward and do this, which is probably what I'd do if I was going to come back right away, but a lot of times when I'm reaching forward, I'm specifically choosing that fingering because I want to go further forward. So I might do this and shift forward, which would allow me to add after the C, the E note. Which, again, gives you more options, and that's why you have different possibilities, so you can have different options on it. So now that was all dropping the 2nd octave directly below the G note here. If I move it up instead, then I can do the same idea. I can jump up to a C and then go backwards. And if I wanted to add that E now, I might as well. Which is one of the ones I played in the beginning. Okay, so now if I do the same again, now in this case, because I know I'm going to continue moving forward, rather than like that first one where I use the pinky here, I'm going to go ahead and use the 3rd finger, which starts shifting my hand forward, so I don't have as big a jump. So now if I come forward to the middle fingering, it'd be this. Now if I want to add that octave next up there, I could. So that one's a little awkward, so you might not use it as much, but again, you might find a use for it. And then if I do moving forward on the last one, this one kind of really stretches out. So I'm going to jump to my 1st finger this time so I can continue and reach forward here. Now, the only reason I would do that is if I wanted to add a 3rd octave, which I could do now. Here I'm far enough forward, I can put that middle octave here. Now on this I might also do something like this. Rather than jumping all the way back down this C, I just go down this C. So, oops, let me do that again. I always have to screw up at least once on it because I do these videos without any editing. So usually it's my talking, but sometimes it's my playing. All right, but this isn't the finger I normally play. So, but again, I'm showing it as possibilities. So that was that last one. Now, why again? I'll deal with why you might do these different fingerings and why the more different ones you know, the better. So, for example, if I'm playing this fingering off this C, I could be right here, and then that will leave me in this A minor position. Now, if I want to reach forward to this one that moves up, that would leave me a different fingering, which gives me different options. So here I might do a scale run here. Here I might do that. Now if I reach forward to this one, the same forward position, but putting the C in that position, it gives me other options. So in this position. So each one's going to kind of lead me into different possibilities because I'm in different scale fingerings. I'm ending on maybe different notes, maybe ending on E here instead of C. But again, just in different positions, which allow me to do different possibilities, or at least influence me to maybe try different things. Anyway, so let's go and look at the tab here. So the first line is the 3 primaries and then the 1 string. Next line is the 4 options with the B variations from the B string. And then I start showing different options with adding in. I just show a few options for adding in the octave in different positions, either going below or forward, because I don't want you getting bogged down in all the different possibilities of that. Instead, think of those primary positions up on that first line, and then just think, okay, yeah, I can add the octave in 2 different ways to each one of these. And then the next section is showing 2 octave fingerings, all from that same forward position, and showing it with the octave being in different spots, and then showing that like I play at the end, where I'm just playing with different scale ones or combining 2 arpeggios together. So the main thing on this, there's a lot of stuff here, but the main thing is get those 3 primaries on, and then just start experimenting with them, and then see how you can combine those with your minors and your majors. And eventually you'll start adding in stuff like 7s, 9s, 11s, 13s. I've got videos on all those already, so you can check those out too. Thanks for watching. Please click like, subscribe, leave a comment. Any of this stuff helps me to get viewed more by the algorithm, and I'm still trying to build up my channel. So thanks for watching.